My name is Olivia Carter, and I have been a private investigator in Chicago for over 12 years. My job is to uncover the truths that people prefer to keep hidden. It's not always glamorous, and sometimes it reveals the darker sides of human relationships. This case began on a rainy Tuesday when Emily Sanders walked into my small office in the downtown area, looking as if she were carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. Emily was an impressive woman in her 40s, dressed in elegant clothes that suggested a life of comfort. But her eyes betrayed a deep exhaustion. She sat down in front of me, gripping her handbag tightly, and after a long, contemplative pause, she finally spoke. "I think my husband is cheating on me," she said, her voice firm yet tinged with sadness. "His name is David. We've been married for 20 years. I know him, Olivia. Or at least, I thought I did. Lately, he's been distant, reserved, he works late, gets these text messages that he won't let me see." And she paused, glancing away for a moment before meeting my gaze again. "I just need to know. I need the truth." I nodded. "I can help you, Emily, but I'll need some details. Where does he work? What's his routine like? Anything that can give me a starting point." She provided everything I needed. David worked as a manager at a tech company downtown. His hours were irregular, and he often claimed to have meetings that didn't quite add up. It was enough to get started, so I assured her that I would get to the bottom of it. The next day, I began the surveillance. I parked outside David's office building around 5 p.m., waiting to see where he would go after work. That first night, he left alone, heading straight home. No detours, no unusual behavior. The same thing happened the next day, and the day after that. For 3 days, David's routine appeared perfectly normal. If he was hiding something, he was doing an excellent job. But Saturday morning brought the first crack in the facade. Emily mentioned that David had told her he was going to a work meeting downtown. I followed him when he left his suburban home, driving into the city. Instead of going to his office, he parked near a cozy cafe on a quiet street. I watched him from my car as he entered and took a seat at a corner table. Minutes later, a woman joined him. She was younger than Emily, perhaps in her 20s, with blonde hair and an air of confidence. They talked for nearly an hour, laughing occasionally, leaning in closer than necessary. There was no physical contact, nothing overtly incriminating, but their body language told a story. Before they left, I snapped several photos. When they exited, the woman got into David's car. I followed them at a safe distance, my camera ready. They drove to a nearby park and sat there for another 30 minutes, talking. This time, David seemed anxious, fidgeting with his hands while she smiled and lightly touched his arm. No kiss, no hug, but the intimacy between them was undeniable. I documented everything. Returning to my office, I couldn't help but reflect on what I had seen. Why do people cheat? Is it boredom, a lack of connection? Or something deeper? Something they can't even explain to themselves? I've seen it all in my line of work: husbands, wives, partners of all kinds, risking everything for fleeting moments with someone else. As a detective, I'm trained to remain objective, but cases like these always leave me pondering the fragility of trust. The following week, I continued my surveillance on David. Each day revealed more about his routine. But the meetings with the young woman, whom I learned was named Sarah, grew increasingly frequent. They would meet at the cafe at least twice a week, sometimes going for walks in the park afterward. I began to wonder if Emily's suspicions were justified, or if there was more to the story than met the eye. One afternoon, I decided to confront Sarah. I waited for her to leave the cafe after a meeting with David. As she walked to her car, I approached her casually. "Excuse me, do you work with David Sanders?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She looked at me, surprised. "Yes, I do. Why?" "I'm a private investigator," I said. Gauging her reaction, I'm looking into some personal matters related to him. The color drained from her face, and she hesitated. "Is he in trouble?" "Not exactly. But I think it's important you know that he's married," I stated, watching her closely. "Emily is worried about him." Sarah's expression shifted from shock to guilt. "I had no idea he was married. He never mentioned it." She paused, looking conflicted. "We've been meeting to discuss work projects. He said he was going through a rough patch, but I thought it was just a personal issue." I could see the confusion in her eyes, and I chose my words carefully. "Emily believes he's been distant because of you. I don't know what's going on between you two, but it's essential for you to understand the full picture." She nodded slowly, digesting the information. "I'll talk to him. This isn't what I signed up for." That interaction weighed heavily on me. It was possible that David was playing both women, manipulating the situation to his advantage. As I gathered more evidence, the threads of the story began to unravel. I learned that David had been lying to both women, leading them to believe he was single and available. After a few more days, I decided it was time to confront Emily with the evidence I had gathered. I invited her to my office, setting the stage for what I hoped would be a constructive conversation. When she arrived, I could see the anxiety etched on her face. "Emily, I have some news," I said, gesturing for her to sit. "It's not what I hoped to find, but I think you deserve to know." I laid out the photos and recounted my findings. Her face paled as I detailed David's meetings with Sarah and the lies he had been telling. "I can't believe it," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "How could he do this to me after all these years?" As the weight of the truth sank in, I watched her struggle with the decision ahead. "I can't tell you what to do, but I can help you navigate this," I said gently. "You have options. You can confront him, or you can choose to walk away." Emily took a deep breath, her resolve slowly hardening. "I need to confront him. I deserve to hear the truth from his mouth." After our meeting, I assisted Emily in preparing for the confrontation. I advised her to remain calm, to ask direct questions, and to give David a chance to explain himself. The next few days were tense as she prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Finally, the day arrived. Emily invited David over for dinner, a seemingly normal evening that masked the storm about to unfold. I waited anxiously for her call. When it finally came, I could hear the tremor in her voice. "It's done," she said, her breath shaky. I told him everything. I showed him the photos and he tried to deny it at first, but when I confronted him about Sarah, he broke down. He admitted everything. "Olivia," I listened intently as she recounted the confrontation. "He claims it was just emotional, that he never intended for it to go this far. But I can't shake the feeling that he was lying." "Emily, trust your instincts," I advised. "You know him better than anyone. You deserve to be with someone who values your trust." In the days that followed, Emily made a decision. She chose to take a step back from the relationship. "I need time," she told me. "I don't know if I can forgive him, but I also don't want to walk away without giving it a fair chance." As I wrapped up the case, I couldn't help but reflect on the complexities of love and trust. Emily's journey was just beginning, and I hoped she would find the clarity she needed. Ultimately, as I filed away the case notes, I realized that sometimes the truth serves as a catalyst for change. Whether it leads to reconciliation or separation, the truth is a powerful force in the realm of relationships. The days turned into weeks, and Emily took her time processing the emotional fallout from her confrontation with David. She vacillated between feelings of anger, betrayal, and a desperate longing for the relationship she once cherished. It was evident that she was grappling with a decision that could alter the course of her life. As a private investigator, my role was to provide support, but I could only guide her through the murky waters of her emotions. During our follow-up meetings, Emily shared her thoughts and feelings about David. "I wish things could go back to normal," she confessed one afternoon, her hands trembling slightly as she stirred her coffee. "But every time I think about his lies, it feels like a knife twisting in my gut." I nodded, understanding the weight of her pain. "It's okay to feel conflicted. You've invested 20 years into this marriage. It's natural to want to salvage it, but trust is essential. Without it, can you truly move forward?" Emily sighed, her gaze distant. I keep replaying everything in my mind. I wonder if I missed the signs. Was I too absorbed in my own life to see the cracks forming in our relationship? "Sometimes it's not about what you miss, but about what he chose to hide," I replied gently. "You deserve answers, not just excuses." As the weeks passed, I continued to gather intel on David, partly to reassure Emily, but also to see if there were any further developments. David, it seemed, had retreated into his work. He was spending long hours at the office, avoiding social events, and his interactions with Sarah had ceased. It was as if the confrontation had put him in a state of shock. One evening, I received an unexpected call from David himself. "Ms. Carter, I need your help," he said, his voice tight with anxiety. "I've heard that you've been looking into my personal life, and I think it's time I explain myself." I was taken aback. It was rare for someone in David's position to seek a private investigator's assistance, especially after being caught in a web of deceit. "I'm not sure what you think I can do for you, David," I replied, cautious. "I want to set the record straight. I want to speak to you, and if necessary, with Emily," he insisted. "I never meant for this to happen. I was confused and I made some terrible choices. But I want to make things right. I considered his request. Part of me was skeptical. It was unusual for someone who had been caught in a lie to suddenly want to come clean. But another part of me was intrigued. Perhaps he was genuinely remorseful and willing to take responsibility for his actions. All right, David, let's meet, I said, arranging a time and place. I informed Emily about the meeting, and her response was a mix of surprise and skepticism. Are you sure you want to hear what he has to say? She asked, her brow furrowing. I think it's important for you to hear his side, even if you ultimately decide to walk away, I replied. It's your choice, but I'll be there to support you. The next day, we met at a quiet cafe, the kind of place where secrets could be shared away from prying eyes. David arrived first, looking disheveled and anxious. He fidgeted with his hands as he waited for us, his demeanor a stark contrast to the confident man I had observed during my surveillance. When Emily arrived, I could see the tension in her posture. She sat across from David, her eyes cold and guarded. What do you want to say? She asked, her voice steady though it trembled slightly. David took a deep breath, his gaze shifting between us. I messed up, he began, his voice filled with regret. I didn't think about how my actions would hurt you, Emily. I got caught up in a friendship that turned into something more, and I didn't know how to stop it. Emily listened, her expression unreadable. So, what are you saying, that this was just some kind of mistake? I thought I could compartmentalize my life, David continued, desperation creeping into his voice, but I was wrong. I didn't want to lose you, but I didn't know how to face the issues we were having. Instead of communicating, I sought comfort elsewhere, and I regret it every day. Emily's brows knitted together, her hurt evident. David, you've broken my trust. How can I know you won't do this again? How do I know you're not just saying this to make yourself feel better? I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I want to work on our marriage, he pleaded. I'll go to counseling. I'll be open and honest from now on. I realize now that I took you for granted, as I watched the exchange unfold. I felt the tension in the air. David's vulnerability was palpable, but Emily remained cautious. Words are just words, David, I need to see actions, she replied, her tone firm. I can't just forgive and forget. This will take time, I understand, David said, his voice cracking. I just hope you can give me a chance to make it right. I love you, Emily. I never stopped loving you, even when I was being an idiot. After their conversation, Emily looked visibly shaken. We left the cafe, and I could sense that her mind was racing. I don't know what to think, she admitted, rubbing her temples. Part of me wants to believe him, but another part of me is terrified of being hurt again. Take your time. Emily, I advised, you don't have to make any decisions today. Reflect on what he said, it's a lot to process. In the following days, Emily grappled with her feelings. She oscillated between anger and a longing to rekindle their marriage. She began attending counseling sessions on her own, exploring her emotions and the impact of David's actions on her self-esteem. One evening, as we met at my office, she brought a stack of papers. I've been writing down my thoughts, she explained. I want to organize everything before I talk to him again. As she read through her notes, I saw the strength she was beginning to cultivate. I don't want to rush into anything, she said, but I also don't want to live in limbo. I need clarity. I'm proud of you for taking the initiative, I said, encouraging her. It's crucial to express your feelings and set boundaries. If you decide to give David another chance, you need to be clear about what you expect from him moving forward. Weeks turned into months, and Emily continued to work on herself. She found strength in her independence, attending therapy, and even reconnecting with friends she had lost touch with during her marriage. During this time, David remained committed to proving his sincerity. He attended counseling sessions and focused on improving their communication. Then one evening, Emily called me, her voice filled with excitement. Olivia, I think I'm ready to meet with David again. I've thought long and hard, and I want to set some ground rules for our relationship. That's fantastic, Emily. What do you want to discuss? I asked, sensing the determination in her voice. I want to talk about transparency, trust, and rebuilding our foundation, she said. I'm going to be honest about my feelings, and I want him to do the same. No more secrets. That meeting marked a turning point in their relationship. Emily expressed her feelings openly, laying out what she needed from David to feel secure moving forward. David listened, visibly remorseful, and promised to prioritize their relationship and work through the challenges together. As I continued to support Emily through her journey, I noticed a transformation in her. She was becoming more confident and empowered regardless of the outcome with David. The truth It seemed had catalyzed a change not only in their relationship, but within her as well. Ultimately, Emily decided to give David a chance, but on her terms. They began attending couples therapy together, where they learned to communicate better and address the underlying issues that had contributed to David's infidelity. By the time I wrapped up the case, I could see that Emily was on a path to healing. She had taken control of her narrative, and regardless of what lay ahead, she was ready to face it with newfound strength. As I filed away the case notes, I reflected on the complexities of love and trust. Some relationships can be rebuilt, while others must be left behind. In Emily's case, the truth had served as a powerful catalyst for change, allowing her to reclaim her identity and determine her own future. As the weeks passed, Emily and David continued their journey of rebuilding their relationship. I kept a close eye on their progress. Checking in with Emily regularly, each meeting revealed more about her transformation, and it became clear that while the road to reconciliation was fraught with challenges, it was also filled with moments of hope and newfound understanding. Emily started to embrace her independence more than ever. She joined a local book club, began taking yoga classes, and even reconnected with old friends who had long been sidelined by her marriage. "It feels good to be me again," she told me one afternoon over coffee. "I'm learning to enjoy my own company, and I think that's helping me with David." Yet, even as she rediscovered herself, there were still shadows lingering in the corners of her mind. The memories of betrayal were not easily erased, and doubts would sometimes creep in, clouding her newfound confidence. "What if he does it again?" she would occasionally ask, her voice tinged with worrying. "How do I know he's really committed to changing?" "Trust is rebuilt over time, Emily," I would reply gently. "It's important to communicate your fears with him. Honesty will help you both navigate these feelings together." One evening, as we sat in my office, Emily shared something that had been weighing heavily on her heart. "I think I might want to make a list of the things I need from him to feel secure. It's not just about trust. It's about respect, understanding, and support." "That sounds like a great idea," I encouraged. "Being clear about your needs will help both of you understand what the other expects moving forward. It's a crucial step in rebuilding your foundation." As she began to write her list, I marveled at how far she had come. The woman who had walked into my office, burdened by fear and uncertainty, was now taking charge of her own destiny. Emily's anguish had transformed into determination, and I felt honored to be part of her journey. A few days later, Emily called me with exciting news. "Olivia, David and I had a breakthrough. We talked for hours about our goals and expectations, and I laid it all out. He was incredibly receptive, and I really feel like we're making progress." "What did you share with him?" I asked, eager to hear more. "I told him that I need him to be transparent about his feelings and to communicate openly when something bothers him. I also want to establish regular check-ins where we can discuss our relationship without distractions," she explained, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "That sounds like a solid plan," I replied, feeling proud of her initiative. "How did he react?" "He was relieved, actually," she said. "He admitted that he had been holding back his own feelings out of fear of upsetting me. It's like we were both afraid to be vulnerable, but now we're working on it together." As I listened to her, I felt a sense of hope blooming in my chest. It was refreshing to witness a couple striving for better communication, understanding, and growth. But I also reminded her that the journey was ongoing. "It's great to hear that you're connecting, but be patient with yourselves. Rebuilding takes time." Weeks turned into months, and the couple continued to attend therapy. They learned more about each other's emotional needs, and David made genuine efforts to show Emily that he was committed to change. He started surprising her with small gestures, flowers, handwritten notes, and even a weekend getaway to a cabin they used to visit when they were newlyweds. One evening, Emily called me, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Olivia, I'm finally starting to feel at ease with David again. It's as if we're rediscovering each other, and I can see how hard he's trying." "That's wonderful to hear," I exclaimed. "It sounds like you're both making great strides. Have you talked about your future together?" "Yes, we have," she replied. "We're discussing our dreams and aspirations, something we hadn't done in years. It feels like we're finally on the same page." However, as they worked through their issues, a plot twist emerged that neither of them had anticipated. During a routine session with their therapist, David disclosed that he had been offered a job in another state of promotion that would require him to move. The news sent shockwaves through their relationship. Emily's heart sank when David shared the news. "I don't know what to do, Olivia," she confessed during our next meeting. This could be a huge opportunity for him. But it feels like it's come at the worst time. We've just started to rebuild and now everything feels uncertain again. Take a deep breath, Emily, I advised. This is a critical moment for both of you. It's essential to discuss how you both envision your future, especially in light of these changes. That evening, they sat down to talk. Emily expressed her concerns, and David explained the potential benefits of the new position. I want to take this job, but I also want to prioritize our relationship, he said earnestly. I'm willing to commute or even consider options that allow us to stay together. Emily appreciated his willingness to discuss the situation openly. I want you to succeed, David, but I also don't want to feel abandoned again. We've only just started to heal, she replied, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. As they navigated this challenging moment, they both realized that their relationship had evolved. The fear of losing each other had transformed into a willingness to communicate and compromise. They began to explore potential arrangements, discussing how they could make the long-distance situation work if necessary. The breakthrough came when David suggested a plan. What if I take the job, but we set up regular visits and virtual check-ins? We can keep working on our relationship, even if it's not in the same place, he proposed. Emily nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. That sounds like a reasonable plan. I think we can make it work if we're both committed. As they moved forward with the decision, I saw the resilience in Emily. She was no longer the woman who had walked into my office filled with doubts and fears. She had transformed into a confident individual who was willing to advocate for her needs, while also supporting her partner's aspirations. Months passed, and as David settled into his new job, they navigated the challenges of a long-distance relationship with grace and determination. They learned to prioritize their communication, scheduling regular video calls and weekend visits whenever possible. One evening, as I sat with Emily in my office, she shared her thoughts. I never imagined I'd be in this situation, but I feel stronger than ever. I've learned to trust myself, and I know I deserve a relationship where both partners support each other's dreams. Her words resonated deeply with me. You've come a long way, Emily. It takes courage to face the unknown, especially when it comes to love. You've built a foundation of trust and respect that will serve you well, no matter where life takes you. As time went on, Emily and David continued to flourish, learning to adapt to the changes in their relationship. They grew closer through the challenges, and I couldn't help but feel proud of the growth they had achieved together. Eventually, they began discussing the possibility of David transferring back to Chicago. The opportunity arose sooner than expected, and he made arrangements to return home. I want to be with you, Emily, he said during one of their calls. I've realized that my career means nothing if I don't have you by my side. When David returned to Chicago, they celebrated their reunion with a heartfelt dinner. Emily had taken the time to prepare a special meal, filled with the flavors of their favorite memories. As they sat together, it felt as if the past had faded, replaced by a promise of a brighter future. In the end, they both knew that the journey was far from over. They had faced their demons, had moments of doubt, and had learned to communicate in ways they hadn't before. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the willingness to fight for one another. As Emily and David walked hand in hand into the sunset, I couldn't help but reflect on the complexities of human relationships. Sometimes the truth reveals not just what we fear, but also what we hold dear. Emily had chosen to embrace the possibility of love, and in doing so, she had found her strength. As the months rolled on, Emily and David settled into a comfortable rhythm, their relationship strengthened by the trials they had navigated together. However, the journey wasn't without its challenges. Life has a way of testing commitments, and the couple soon found themselves facing a new hurdle. David's job was demanding, and he often worked late hours. The excitement of returning to Chicago had settled into the daily grind of corporate life, and Emily began to feel the pangs of loneliness creeping back in. I feel like I'm losing him again, she confided during one of our regular meetings. He's physically here, but I can't shake the feeling that he's emotionally distant. I listened intently, recognizing the familiar tone of uncertainty in her voice. Have you talked to him about how you're feeling? I asked gently. I have, she replied, frustration evident in her tone, but he seems overwhelmed. He keeps saying it's just a busy period and I want to support him, but I'm scared. Your feelings are valid, Emily, I reassured her. It's essential to communicate your needs, even when it feels difficult. You've worked hard to rebuild trust, don't let fear silence you now, with a newfound determination. Emily decided to approach the situation head-on. Over the next few weeks, she made it a point to carve out quality time for them, planning date nights and small adventures around the city. They explored the local art scene, revisited their favorite restaurants, and even took a weekend trip to a nearby lake. Yet, despite her efforts, David's mind often seemed elsewhere. One evening, as they were watching a movie at home, Emily sensed a shift in the atmosphere. David was distracted, his phone buzzing incessantly beside him. "David, can we talk?" she asked softly, breaking the silence. He sighed, glancing at his phone before turning to her. "Sure. What's on your mind? I feel like you're here but not really present," she said, her heart racing. "I miss the connection we had when we were working through everything together. I need you to be with me, not just physically, but emotionally." David looked taken aback but nodded, a look of realization dawning on his face. "I'm sorry, Emily. I've been so focused on work that I didn't realize how I was shutting you out. I promise to do better." As they talked, Emily was relieved to see David's willingness to listen. They discussed his work pressures and how they could better support one another through the busy periods. It was a step in the right direction, but Emily knew that the path ahead would require ongoing effort. However, just as they began to find their footing again, another twist emerged. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Emily stumbled upon a photo that sent her heart racing. It was a picture of David with a female colleague, laughing and looking comfortable together at a company event. The caption read, "Great night with the team. #WorkFam." Emily's stomach churned. She felt the old insecurities bubbling back to the surface. Is he really committed? Or is he just playing me again? She thought, her mind racing. She decided to confront David about the photo, hoping to clear the air before her worries spiraled out of control. That night, as they sat down for dinner, Emily took a deep breath. "David, I saw a photo from the company event, and it made me feel uneasy," she began, her voice steady but anxious. David looked confused at first, then concern clouded his features. "What photo?" "The one with you and that woman from your team," Emily said, trying to keep her tone neutral. "You looked really close, and it brought back some feelings I thought I had put behind me." He paused, his expression shifting to one of understanding. "Emily, I promise you, it was nothing like that. She's just a colleague, and we were having a good time as a team. I didn't think anything of it, but I see how it could look. I trust you, David, but I just need to know you're not slipping back into old habits." "I can't go through that again," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. David reached for her hand, his eyes earnest. "I would never want to hurt you. I'm committed to us, and I'm learning every day how to be a better partner. Let's talk about what we can do to make sure we're both comfortable." Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. They spent the rest of the evening discussing boundaries and expectations, reaffirming their commitment to one another. It was a conversation that deepened their bond and helped ease some of Emily's fears. However, the next day, a new development threw everything into disarray. Emily received an anonymous message on her phone. It contained a screenshot of the same photo she had seen on social media, but with an added note, "You should watch out for David, he's not as faithful as you think." Her heart sank. Who could have sent this? Was it a prank? Or was there some truth behind it? The uncertainty gnawed at her, and she found herself spiraling into a pit of anxiety. "I can't let this get to me," she thought. But the nagging doubt lingered. That evening, she confided in me about the message. "I don't know what to think, Olivia. It feels like a cruel joke, but it's making me question everything again," she said, anguish etched on her face. "Emily, it's understandable to feel shaken," I responded. "But you need to confront David about this. Trust your instincts, but also give him a chance to explain." With a heavy heart, Emily decided to bring it up. As they sat together that night, she felt a mix of apprehension and determination. "David, I received this message today," she said, showing him the screenshot. He looked at it, his brows furrowing in confusion. "This is ridiculous. I don't know who would send this or why, but I swear to you, it's not true. I'm committed to you, and I don't want anyone else. Then why do I keep feeling like I'm in the dark?" Emily's voice trembled, the vulnerability creeping in. "I need reassurance. I can't keep questioning your loyalty." David took a deep breath. "I understand why you feel that way, and I want to be transparent with you. I'll share more about my work and my colleagues, and you can meet anyone you're concerned about. Let's break down these walls together." Emily felt a glimmer of hope as David's sincerity washed over her. They discussed ways to build trust back into their relationship. They agreed to keep communication open, to share their feelings more frequently, and to avoid situations that could lead to misunderstandings. As they moved forward, the couple began to thrive again. They made it a point to spend time together, allowing their relationship to flourish amidst the noise of their busy lives. Emily learned to trust her instincts, while David committed to being more present and transparent. In the end, the anonymous message served as a catalyst for deeper conversations that ultimately strengthened their bond. Emily realized that while challenges would always arise, the foundation of trust they were building would allow them to face whatever came their way together. As the seasons changed and the leaves turned golden brown, I watched from the sidelines, grateful to have played a part in their journey. Emily had transformed into a woman who knew her worth, willing to stand up for herself, while also supporting her partner. When they decided to come in for one final meeting, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. "We've come so far, Olivia," Emily said, her eyes sparkling with renewed confidence. "Thank you for helping us navigate this journey. I feel like we're finally in a good place." David nodded, wrapping an arm around Emily. "We've learned a lot about each other and ourselves. The truth is, we're stronger together than we've ever been." As they left my office hand in hand, I couldn't help but smile. Their story was one of resilience, love, and the power of truth. It reminded me that while the road may be bumpy, it's the willingness to confront the challenges that can lead to the most rewarding outcomes. As the months turned into a year, Emily and David continued to navigate the complexities of their renewed relationship. The challenges they faced together had fortified their bond, but life, as always, had a few more surprises in store. One crisp autumn afternoon, I received a call from Emily. Her voice was a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Olivia, can we meet? There's something I need to discuss with you, and it's important." I agreed to meet her at our usual cafe, where they had shared many pivotal moments in their journey. When she arrived, her cheeks were flushed and there was an unmistakable energy about her. "I think I might be pregnant," she blurted out. Her eyes wide with a blend of joy and anxiety. The news hit me like a bolt of lightning. This was a significant development, especially considering the tumultuous path they had traveled. "That's wonderful, Emily. Have you taken a test?" I asked, trying to gauge her state of mind. "Yes, and it came back positive," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "But I'm scared, Olivia. I don't know if we're ready for this. What if things go wrong? What if David isn't ready to be a father?" I could see the whirlwind of emotion swirling in her eyes. Becoming a parent was a massive responsibility, and given their recent struggles, it was natural for her to feel apprehensive. "Have you talked to David about it?" I asked gently. "No, not yet. I wanted to get your advice first," she admitted, biting her lip. "Emily, it's essential to share this news with him," I encouraged. "He deserves to be part of this conversation, and you both need to navigate this together," with a nod of determination. She resolved to tell David that evening. As they sat down for dinner, her heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. "David, there's something I need to share with you," she began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "What is it?" he asked, looking up from his plate, curiosity etched on his face. "I'm pregnant," she revealed, her eyes searching his for a reaction. For a moment, silence enveloped the room. David's expression shifted from surprise to a mixture of joy and concern. "Wow, Emily, that's incredible," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "But I'm scared," she admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. "What if we're not ready? What if we can't handle this?" David reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "We'll figure it out together, just like we've done before. I want this, Emily. I want to be a father. We can do this." As they embraced in that moment, a sense of hope filled the air. They had faced many challenges before, but now they were embarking on a new chapter, a chance to build a family together. However, the journey to parenthood would not be without its hurdles. As Emily's pregnancy progressed, the couple faced the usual anxieties and uncertainties that came with expecting a child. David's work remained demanding, and there were moments when Emily felt isolated, grappling with the physical and emotional changes that pregnancy brought. One evening, as they sat together, Emily broached a topic that had been weighing on her mind. "David, I know we're excited about this baby, but I sometimes feel like you're still not fully present," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I need you here, now more than ever." David looked pained. "I'm trying, Emily. Work is tough right now, but I promise to be there for you. I want to be involved. Let's make a plan." They spent the evening discussing how they could prioritize their relationship during this transitional period. David agreed to cut back on unnecessary work commitments and promised to attend prenatal appointments with Emily. It was a crucial step in reaffirming their commitment to one another as they prepared for parenthood. But just as things seemed to be settling down, a twist of fate struck again, one afternoon. Emily received a phone call that would shake her world once more. It was from a mutual friend who worked in HR at David's company. "Emily, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but I just heard some troubling news about David," she said, her voice laced with concern. "What do you mean?" Emily's heart raced as she braced for the worst. "There are rumors circulating that he's been spending time with a new colleague, and it doesn't sound innocent," her friend explained. "I didn't want to believe it, but I thought you should know." The ground beneath Emily's feet began to crumble. Just when she felt they were on the right track, this news threatened to unravel everything. "Thank you for telling me," she said, her voice shaky. "I need to talk to him." That evening, Emily confronted David with the rumors. "I heard something today that I need to discuss with you," she said, her heart pounding. He looked surprised, but there was an undercurrent of tension in the air. "What rumors about you and a new colleague?" she said, her voice firm. "I need to know the truth. David, are you being unfaithful?" David's expression shifted to one of shock and indignation. "Emily, how could you even think that? I would never betray you. Especially now," he said, his voice rising a notch. "This isn't fair." "Then explain this to me," Emily replied, trying to keep her emotions in check. "I thought we were building trust, and now I'm hearing these things. I need you to be honest." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident on his face. "I swear to you, it's just a rumor. My work is stressful, and there are people who want to see me fail. I'd never jeopardize our family." Emily studied his face, searching for any signs of deception. "Then let's face this together. We need to confront this rumor head-on so that it doesn't divide us again. I can't have this uncertainty while we're preparing for our baby." David nodded, his expression softening. "You're right. We can go to the office together tomorrow and talk to HR. I'll clear this up once and for all." The next day, they made their way to David's office, hearts heavy with trepidation. As they entered the building, Emily felt the weight of the rumors pressing down on her. They were greeted by David's supervisor, who could sense the tension in the air. "David, Emily, what brings you here?" his supervisor asked, concern lacing his voice. "We need to discuss the rumors going around about David and a colleague," Emily said, her voice steady despite the anxiety churning in her stomach. His supervisor exchanged glances with David, then nodded. "Let's sit down and talk. I want to make sure we handle this appropriately." As they settled into a conference room, David took a deep breath. "I want to address these rumors directly. They are unfounded and damaging, especially considering my wife's pregnancy." His supervisor listened attentively, nodding as David laid out his case. "I'm committed to my family, and I'll not let anyone's gossip jeopardize that," David asserted, his voice firm. After a tense discussion, the supervisor promised to investigate the matter further and ensure that the workplace environment remained professional. As they left the office, Emily felt a renewed sense of relief wash over her. They had faced the rumors head-on, and David's commitment to their family shone through. In the weeks that followed, the couple focused on preparing for their new arrival. They attended prenatal classes, decorated the nursery, and relished the excitement of becoming parents. Each challenge they faced only brought them closer together. As the due date approached, Emily reflected on her journey. "It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?" she said to David one evening as they sat on the couch, hands resting on her pregnant belly. David smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "It has. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. We've grown so much, and I know we'll be great parents." Finally, the day arrived. Emily went into labor, and David was right by her side, supporting her through every contraction. As they welcomed their baby into the world, they felt an overwhelming sense of love and joy. Holding their newborn for the first time, Emily and David realized that despite the trials they had faced, they were now stronger than ever. Their journey had taught them the importance of communication, trust, and unwavering support. They had not only built a family, but had also solidified the foundation of their love. As I reflected on their story, I knew that the path of love and commitment was never straightforward. It was a journey filled with twists, turns, and unexpected challenges. But in the end, it was worth every moment of uncertainty. Emily had made her choice to embrace the love she had for David, to trust him despite the setbacks, and to build a future together. Their bond had grown through adversity, and they were ready to face whatever life had in store for them. And as they stepped into their new roles as parents, they carried with them the lessons learned along the way, a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the truth that had guided them home. As the story of Emily and David comes to a close, I want to take a moment to connect with you, the listeners. I'm Olivia Carter, your private investigator, guiding you through the intricate web of human relationships and the truths that lie beneath. If you've enjoyed following this journey and want to hear more captivating tales like this one, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue sharing these stories that resonate with so many. And while you're here, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Whether you're in the bustling streets of Chicago, the serene countryside, or anywhere in between. Your comments help create a community of listeners who are as invested in these stories as I am. So, drop a note in the comments below and let us know where you're listening from. Together, let's keep unraveling the mysteries of love, trust, and the human experience. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And I can't wait to share more stories with you soon.